Good evening, everyone. My name is Zhao Zijing, and I come from Beijing Children's Hospital in China. It's a great honor for me to participate in this meeting. The title of my presentation is Clinical Significance of Soluble CD25 Levels in Children with Langerhans cell histocytosis. In the first part, I'd like to talk about the motivation of this study. Langerhans cell histocytosis is a rare myeloid neoplasm with inflammatory characteristics, and the interleukin-2 receptor pathway plays an important role in immune response. And CD25, also known as interleukin-2 receptor alpha chain, is shed during immune activation. Elevated levels of soluble CD25 can be used to monitor certain immune-mediated disease and are associated with diagnosis and prognosis. The aim of this study was to investigate the correlation between serum soluble CD25 levels and clinical characteristics and prognosis in pediatric LCH. Over a 3-year period, a total of 335 newly diagnosed LCH patients were included in this study. Serum soluble CD25 levels were measured in all patients at the time of initial diagnosis, and the correlation between soluble CD25 levels and clinical classification involved organs, cytokine levels, and prognosis was analyzed. In all cases, about 60% were classified as single-system LCH. A total of 313 cases initially received first-line chemotherapy. The median serum soluble CD25 level at initial diagnosis was 3,983 pico per milliliter. Among them, 100 patients had soluble CD25 levels higher than the normal range of 6,400 pico per milliliter. The analysis results showed a close correlation between the soluble CD25 level and initial diagnosis and the clinical classification of the patients. The soluble CD25 level was significantly higher in multi-system risk organ-positive patients compared to those with single-system involvement. Patients with high soluble CD25 at initial diagnosis were more likely to be younger than 2 years old and more likely to have involvement of the liver, spleen, hematologic, pituitary, skin, and lymph nodes. The soluble CD25 level also was significantly correlated with cytokine levels such as interleukin gamma, tumor necrosis factor, and interleukin-10. Importantly, we found that the soluble CD25 level had a significant predictive value for progression or recurrence in patients receiving first-line chemotherapy, with an area under the ROC curve of 66.2%. Univariate analysis showed that patients in the high soluble CD25 group had worse prognosis compared to the low-level group. Multivariate analysis showed that high soluble CD25 risk organ involvement and the pituitary involvement were independent risk factor for the prognosis of LCH after first-line chemotherapy. And the last, some conclusion we have got. Elevated serum soluble CD25 levels and initial diagnosis in LCH patients are associated with high-risk clinical features. Soluble CD25 levels can predict the progression or recurrence of LCH in first-line chemotherapy, and patients with high level have significantly worse prognosis compared to those with low levels. Increased soluble CD25 at diagnosis is an independent risk factor for the prognosis of pediatric LCH after first-line chemotherapy. That's all for my presentation. If you have any question, please feel free to contact me. That's all. Thank you.